Hello there, and welcome back to the King and Quinn Adventures YouTube channel. This is Adam.
And it's Lindsay.
And we are in Chicago for this trip. We actually went up for a couple of days so that we could attend the Winter Classic. We went up a day early, though, so that we could explore Chicago a little bit. This is actually us walking into the nearest train terminal so that we could get our Chicago Transit Authority card so that we could travel around the city by train and bus. And believe me, if you've never been to Chicago before, there is a lot of walking to be done, even if you're taking public transportation.
And this was actually one of my favorite parts, was getting to ride these trains and buses. And shout out to Jenna Lee, because she always has the best hacks.
As we go to get on this train, at the end of the seats here, there's a gentleman, I put a red arrow over his head. I'm not sure if he was sleeping or if we disturbed him somehow, but he got up in the middle of this train ride and left our car. And Justin and Jenna Lee were a little shocked.
Damn! We were all so shell-shocked. We did not know what to do. Obviously, this guy rides the trains very often and knew that he could go from our car to the other car, but we were so shook.
Swear to me! Hey, I haven't watched that movie forever, but it's like that Wayne Enterprises, or if I'm making that up.
That building right there, it looks like it. Yeah.
Plus, it has been a long time. We should have watched one of those movies before we came.
Justin, obviously a big Batman fan there. So we finally got out of that train ride, and we were headed for a restaurant named Jefferson Tap. Jenna Lee and Justin swore up and down that they had the best Nashville hot chicken sandwich they've ever had. So we make it there momentarily.
And it was a dang good chicken sandwich.
All right, so after we got through eating at Jefferson Tap, we were on the way to Millennium Park, and Lindsay had an issue.
Honey! Hey, watch your feet!
We got that on camera.
Have one beer.
You gotta watch those sidewalks in Chicago. They'll jump up and get you.
Say hello to the people.
So I know I said we were going to Millennium Park, but we had to stop in the middle. Justin found that he forgot to pack a belt, so we went hunting in a Macy's and a Ross.
And if you've never been to a Ross or TJ Maxx in a big city, we had to go up an escalator, and then there was security that stopped us on the way in and then also on the way out.
So this is actually on New Year's that we were up there, and my man in that truck was fully in the holiday spirit still. So I'm originally from Southern Illinois. I had never been to Chicago prior to this trip, and Millennium Park was really cool. I mean, it was downtown in the middle of all these skyscrapers. That building you can see in the distance there has Happy New Year in the window. They had an ice rink where a ton of people were skating. They have the Bean there as well. So lots to do, lots to see, and wish we had gotten there earlier where we could have seen a little bit more in the daylight too.
One of the only things I wish that we would have done is to reserve time to ice skate before we came, because that night when we got there was no times left. So Justin and I had wanted to skate and we could not because we did not have any spots.
Adam did not want to skate because he broke his ankle once stepping over a gas hose at a gas station. So I can only imagine what would have happened if I got on the ice. As we got through in Millennium Park, we headed for a bus stop to be able to catch a bus to the Navy Pier. And these rickshaws were by the bus stop, and they were decked out in lights. They were playing music. People taking full advantage of being able to ride around Chicago in those. So as we arrived to Navy Pier, there was another park across the street here that I'll show in just a second. I think it was called Polk Brothers Park, but they had some really cool decorations up for Christmas and a lot of lights over there as well that we didn't get to cross the street and see.
So inside that building, actually, there's a lot of different food vendors. There's different stores you can visit, different activities going on for kids. And there was a lot of different things to do and see, which we did not film. We did have some Chicago dogs. I believe I had some Dole Whip that was not as good as Disney World. And then whenever you walk out, there's different boats out here that you can take out for charters, and they were actually all getting ready for New Year's. You could see them putting out dinner plates and getting things fancy on the inside for people to rent them and they go out on the river and have a cruise, a dinner cruise, and then they bring them back.
So this was really pretty much the end of Navy Pier. You can see that it gets pretty dark as you get towards the end, and the GoPro really didn't pick up any light to be able to video. So we will move on to day 2, and this is when we attended the Winter Classic.
Before the Winter Classic, there's some festivities that we attended, and it's actually in the parking lot behind Wrigley Field. Like, there's an ice sculpture that they were actually making while we were there, so that was really neat to see.
We were lucky enough to be in the front row whenever TNT filmed a segment for the pregame. Wayne Gretzky, Dennis Savard, and Darren Pang were all there. And I've always been a huge Gretzky fan. He played for the Blues for one season. Obviously the greatest player to ever play in the NHL. So it was really cool to get to see him that up close. So I'd just like to point out here that Lindsay whipped us all in this competition. She was the only one to get a shot into the 3-point hole. I scored absolutely 0.
And I would like to point out that I've never once played hockey in my life. That was the first time I'd even picked up a stick. So it was actually just pure luck.
So even though I am a diehard St. Louis Cardinals and St. Louis Blues fan, I gotta say it was cool to be able to visit Wrigley and see how they had put things together for this event. Turning a ball field into a professional hockey rink looks like it's no small feat. This picture of Justin and I was taken pretty late in the game. This was a sellout, but Chicago was getting beat 6-2, and a lot of the fans had departed early to beat the traffic. And here's Lindsay and I in front of the scoreboard celebrating the Blues win, and there's no other way to end this video except by saying,
Let's go Blues!